Hi there, this is Jen, and thanks for joining me today. Today I have a really fun card where one of those cards where you start out with an idea of what you're doing, and then you learn something new. And so I'm going to call this card some glitter smooshing is what I'm going to be doing. And so I'm going to be using some visible image products, and the products that I'm using are the Distressed Christmas stamp set as well as the Poinsettia Grunge. I really love that stamp set. And then I'm using Antisocial Butterfly because originally my idea was going to be a Christmas butterfly card. It kind of changed a little bit, but that's a newer stamp set and I haven't yet used it, and so I really wanted to use it. So I went ahead and made some Christmas butterflies, sort of. But I'm going to start out with a stamping block. I'm using the Distressed Christmas stamp, and I am stamping both of those stamps up using some Distress Oxide and Antique Linen. I'm going to go ahead and change this a little bit towards the end because I will be covering this card panel with a piece of Dura, which is like a vellum almost, but it is actually a polyester film. And so I've really loved working with this lately, and so I've been using it quite a lot. But it's a little bit thicker than vellum. It doesn't die cut as well. But it's just a really amazing material. And so what I'm doing is I've placed that piece of Dura over my card panel, and I'm going to add the smaller poinsettia from that Poinsettia Grunge stamp set, and I am going to do some gold embossing. So I've inked that up 3 times with some Versamark embossing ink, and then I will cover that with gold. I believe this gold is I think it's called Princess Gold. It's from Ranger. And I'm going to go ahead and add that embossing powder, and then I will take my heat tool and melt that embossing powder. Now this is kind of a process. This is more of a heavy duty material, so it takes heat very well, but at the same time it will still melt if you hold the heat on it too long. I found though it started to warp a little bit, and I just shook it like really hard and it seemed to flatten it out. I don't know if that had anything to do with me shaking it, but it seemed to work, so I went with it. And then I'm going to get a piece of plastic, and we're going to do the ink smooshing. So since this is the first time I did this, I kind of backwards think when I'm not sure what's going on or what I'm doing. And so what I actually did was I got the glue, and I took a brush. I just put it on a piece of plastic packaging, and then I took a paintbrush and spread it out a bit. If I were going to do this again, I would mix the glitter first, and you'll see that step next. But instead, I am kind of doing some smooshing of the glue. And doing the glue smooshing, I think it gives a little more of a random pattern when the confetti or glitter mix is stuck on it. And so that's why I did that instead of just spreading it with a paintbrush. But I'm taking another piece of plastic packaging, and I'm just going to mix up several different little glitter mixes and confetti mixes from my stash. One of them was an old Recollections mix. I've got some Distressed Glitter and Rock Candy, Distressed Glitter and Spun Sugar, some Maker 4-Day Confetti Mix, and then another a Michael's, some kind of clear stars. I originally took the brush and kind of tried to move that around, and then it just worked better to kind of just shake the paper a little bit and settle that mixture in place. And then I'm going to take the Dura piece that I just added the glue to, and I'm going to smush that into the mix that I just made. And the great thing about vellum or anything that's kind of translucent is that you can use either side of it. You can use the side that's a little more muted, or you can use the side that is where the actual material was applied. But I went a little overboard on the glue, and so there's a lot of glitter stuck to the panel, and I didn't like that. And so what I am doing is I'm taking my craft spoon, I'm just scraping this off, which is what's great about a non-porous surface, is that this isn't completely dry, but it's still very easy to go ahead and kind of scrape a little bit of that off. And then I also take a baby wipe to clean up the glue that's there, so that my surface isn't tacky, and also to wipe away the excess glitter. So I wiped off enough where a lot of it was kind of centered in the middle of that panel, and so I like that much better. And after I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and stamp up a few of the butterflies from the Antisocial Butterfly stamp set. And it's surrounding the butterflies is some text and some different elements. I'm going to use a little bit of that on the panel as well. So for the butterflies, I will just add a little bit of foam to the back of their body portion. But I'm going to go ahead and create my background again. So the background was really light that I stamped originally in the antique linen. And so what I did is I just re-stamped it using some embossing ink and then covered that with that same gold embossing powder that I used for the poinsettias. And that is going to show through much better through that piece of Dura. And then to adhere this, I'm going to use just my tape runner. If you're using something that's a little more clear rather than a little more yellow, it's very easy to disguise. And I did concentrate it behind those areas where you wouldn't be able to see it. So behind the glitter and the poinsettias, mainly in the middle of the panel, is where I've concentrated the adhesive just to make sure you can't see it. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my butterflies and a few of those extra little pieces of scrap that I cut out from around the butterflies. And then to add even more sparkle and to finish the card off, I am adding some embellishments from, this calls for confetti, and to go ahead and finish the card off with a sentiment. I'm using a 10-volt sentiment. And I actually, this is where I decided to make it a Happy New Year card instead of a Christmas card. I just thought butterflies are kind of like new beginnings and there's a lot of sparkle on it, and so it went from a Christmas card to a Happy New Year card kind of right at the end when I was trying to pick out a sentiment. But that is my card for today. I'm really happy with how this turned out, and kind of a happy accident card, I guess you could say, with the glitter smooshing. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did like it or find it informative, I would love it if you would give me a thumbs up. As always, I thank you so much for taking some time to hang out with me today, and I hope to see you next time.